Hey everyone, welcome to MuseThemes.com. This is Ashton. We've got a new theme release that I'm excited to share today, our Intact theme. Now we've got our live demo pulled up here, and as we can see, this theme has a very professional, businessy feel to it, but without being boring, which I really like. It's easy to read, easy on the eyes, and presents itself professionally, but in an engaging and interactive way. Most of our content is on the home page here, but we do have some sub-pages designed here as well. And what I really love about this theme is the versatility offered here. This is a kind of site I could see being used for dozens of types of businesses and can be customized as such in no time. Now there's a few things I do want to point out, but let's do so right from Muse. Here in our plan view, we have our home, about, and contact pages, as well as a thank you page that the user is redirected to after filling out a form. But let's click into our master page first really quick. We have a 6 breakpoint setup here, all of which are fixed with the exception of the 3 smallest mobile breakpoints. And I'm going to cover that a bit more in a moment. Top 2 breakpoints have an easy to read and accessible navigation. For breakpoints 768 and smaller, we have a hamburger menu implemented with a composition widget. As usual, to make changes to the menu, simply open the settings panel for the composition and select Show Widget Parts while editing. That'll bring up the target window where you can easily customize the menu. Now keep in mind that this is a custom designed navigation here, not a Muse menu widget. So if you make changes to your site plan, you're going to need to change these buttons manually here from this window. Let's go ahead and close this. And of course down here in our footer, we've got plenty of space for information, social links, all that good stuff. Now let's jump back to our plan view. And I'm going to click into the home page. Lots of content here to play around with. Now let's take a closer look at that breakpoint setup. As we saw on the master page, we have 6 breakpoints total. All except the smallest 3 have a fixed width setting. Now if you've ever used our build theme, this structure will probably be familiar to you. Now here's the thing about using a fixed width breakpoint structure. You're not going to get the fluid motion that you might be used to when sizing the browser up and down, but what it does offer is significantly more control over the page appearance between breakpoints. A common frustration with fluid width is exactly that. While you can use your breakpoints to design how you want each width to appear, oftentimes it's what's in between these breakpoints that elements can resize or shift undesirably when you have them set to fluid width. Fixed width has a different approach. Your elements are somewhat locked in for each breakpoint, but you know exactly how the page will appear no matter what size the device is that's viewing it. Now, a really important thing to remember for fixed width structure, it's a really good idea to keep all of your page content within the guides of the next smallest breakpoint. Right now I'm looking at my 1200 breakpoint. My next smallest is 960. Now right now 960 is serving as my width limit for my 1200 breakpoint. For example, if I scroll down the page, you can see all of the content here, with the exception of anything full width, is constrained lower than the 960 guide bar. And the reason for that is, since this is fixed width, none of this content is going to size itself smaller automatically. So if you had elements on your page here on this breakpoint that expanded all the way up to the 1200 mark, as soon as you were to shrink your browser down even just a little bit, it's going to exceed the page boundary. So you want to make sure that everything remains in frame as you shrink your browser all the way down to the next one, which in this case is 960. And of course, if I jump down to my 960 breakpoint, you can see that same rule applies for the next smallest breakpoint. Now, as I mentioned, this is reminiscent of our build theme, which has been one of our most popular themes of all time, due in part to its fixed width breakpoint setup, allowing for a more simple and straightforward site structure and navigation. Let's jump to our About page. Another rich playground for you here to add and customize content. We've got lots of sample copy, team members, bios, and a little bit lower here we have a testimonial section. You'll probably recognize a composition widget being used here. To edit each of these, you just need to click a few times until you have your cursor inside the actual target window, like so. And you can then make all the text changes you want, just like normal. And to explore the additional slides, you can just click either of the arrows to scroll through them, or you can use the little trigger boxes to select an individual slide or to add more using the plus sign button. Let's jump to the contact page. We've got a nice and simple contact form here, but I do want to point out a cool function available here natively in the contact form widget. If I open the settings panel, we can see our third option here gives us a drop-down for after sending. Now this allows you to send the user to another page of your site after they submit a form, which is really great if you want to give the user something a little bit more personal or more in-depth than just the regular form submitted message box that you'd normally get by the send button. And you can see in the drop-down here that this is set to redirect to a sub-page under contact called Thank You. So let's jump back to our plan view. And we saw a moment ago there is a sub-page here called Thank You, and it's already set up and ready to go. So feel free to customize that here as well. So that's our intact theme. Thanks so much as always for watching. Have fun with this one. I definitely recommend taking advantage of the versatility of this theme. Now if you've got a business website already that could use a little energizing or life plugged into it, this may be a great place to start. So thanks again, and if any issues arise, drop us a note in support. Take care.